southwest past Louisiana with the gusts up to 104, and within the past hour, they've shown winds of 44 miles per hour with gusts to 60 at the Lakefront Airport.
All right, quick update on the power outages, Thomas. We are now approaching 68,000 customers without power in Louisiana. The biggest spikes recently is Jefferson Parish now reporting 23,500 power outages. This is as of 11:55, so this data is 5 minutes ago.
Oh my. All right.
Okay,
also, National Hurricane Center holding at 150 miles per hour, 933 millibars. And Ryan, I know what you're about to say. Tell us about it.
Okay, you know how the oil rig that I stated earlier, the minimum central pressure of 939.1 millibars,
Yep.
new data just came in and it's lower, 934.1 millibars.
So it's intensifying, seemingly.
It's probably not intensifying, but it's probably just the data delay that I didn't get the latest data out. But they've sampled 934, which I
Regardless,
believe was maintaining intensity, if I'm not wrong.
yes, it looks like the storm is maintaining extrapolated pressures. If they're correct, we'll need to see sound verification. Could show very slight deepening of this storm. We'll see. But it does look like we can't show it on air, unfortunately, but we are finding floating debris here that is coming through on multiple cameras. So, very bad situation. Large chunks of debris floating through streets right now as a result of this hurricane. We have another question. How often does the NHC update? They're going to update hourly, up to a few hours after landfall. We'll be keeping an eye on what exactly they're saying at each hour. Next question. How much will this storm weaken before New Orleans gets the strongest winds? That's a difficult question. If we take a look at our latest forecast, which is inflated by about 10 miles an hour, we can subtract about 10 miles an hour from that, get an estimate. National Hurricane Center, though, is estimating, if we take a look at their cone, that this will still be a hurricane by the time it gets to you. The maximum sustained winds of 105 miles per hour. So a Category 2 moving by New Orleans. That's what it's looking like. It's looking rather dangerous. We're also figuring out that some professional storm chasers are running into issues due to this Eyewall replacement cycle where storm surge is getting so much higher than expected in some spots that cameras have not been placed high enough to compensate. That is how large of a shift in storm surge we could be watching right now. And that is extremely dangerous.
The camera that we're talking about from Grand Isle, the waves are probably at very minimum, probably 2-3 feet away from the camera that's streaming the video right now, if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, and what camera are we looking at on your screen, Isaac?
This is a completely different area of the state. This is in New Orleans, Louisiana. Just an overlook of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Yeah, there we go. And again, New Orleans going to be passed by what will likely be a Category 2, 105 mile per hour hurricane. Extremely dangerous situation.
All right. Update on Port Fourchon. This is being verified by velocity. Obviously, this is 7,600 feet in the air. But Port Fourchon potentially getting 85 mile an hour sustained winds being verified by radar scope. Again, that is as of 70. That's with the radar being penetrating 7,600 feet in the air over the Port Fourchon area.
Yep, this is just we're already seeing photos and videos of absolutely disastrous impacts as the storm is nearing landfall, especially out of Grand Isle, unfortunately. This is an exceptionally dangerous situation. All right, next question. How high are some of the rainfall totals in southeast Louisiana expected to get? National Hurricane Center now saying over 2 feet of rain is a possibility. So you need to be preparing for flooding if you're in a flood-prone area in southeast Louisiana. You should have evacuated if you were in southeast Louisiana at this point, especially if you're near the where the center of the storm is supposed to end up. All right, next question. What are the maximum winds for New Orleans? If you're asking about in the future, 105 to 110 miles per hour. If you're asking about right now, maximum winds in New Orleans, do we have current maximum winds in New Orleans? I can get those pretty quickly, I'm sure. Do we have them?
No, I was going to say, yeah, get.
We'll get that here pretty quickly, and I'll get that to you. So, there we go. Just one moment. I gotta get to another question here. Lots of questions here. Is it possible for Ida to do more damage than Laura, given that they're basically the same strength at landfall? This is an interesting question. I'm not 100% sure. All I know is that this is absolutely disastrous. We saw devastating photos out of Cameron, Louisiana. I expect devastating photos coming out of this.
And just worth mentioning, both of them are roughly the same intensity, but the thing is with Ida, I believe Ida will be packing more rain, and not just more rain, but potentially more surge for a larger area of people. So it'll definitely be more dangerous in this case because it's going to be affecting a wider area of people with stronger impacts all across the board. So honestly, comparing the two, relatively speaking, they're almost about the same, but Ida happens to have a couple more cards up its sleeve that I can use to really make things worse. So regardless of what, it's still going to be a very nasty situation for anyone that has decided to stay behind.
That is in fact true. I've gotten observations from New Orleans. Currently sustained winds around 15 miles per hour, gusts going anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour at this time. Alright, we have many more questions. First of all, we have a donation by Roosevelt Media News saying thank you for your service. Thank you for watching. We hope that we are providing information that is useful to you. If there's more information that we could give you, please ask a question. We have another question. What kind of impacts will Southeastern Arkansas get? This is a good question. If you're in Southeastern Arkansas, you're not going to get too much in terms of rainfall. I'm not even expecting too much in wind. But again, I would be watching for heavy rains and some gusty winds if you're in Southeastern Arkansas. You're not going to be getting a hurricane or anything of that nature, though.
Okay, so earlier on, someone wanted to know what the conditions are like in terms of wind speeds in New Orleans right now, right?
Yes.
So New Orleans International Airport, as of 14 minutes ago, has recorded winds of sustained 23 knots, gusting to gale force 41 knots.
There we go. So 41 knots. It's about 45 miles per hour.
Recon has just flew over the eye again. It did a loop, and it found a extrapolated pressure of 930.1.
Yep, 930. Which means that if that's true, the storm has began deepening again as it is about to move ashore. Which is definitely bad news.
Certainly bad news.
Yes, not a good situation at all. Rapidly changing situation currently going on. We have more questions here. Grand Isle, there's major structural debris and water, and can we expect storm surge over 6 feet? Yes, already taking place.
Yeah, I believe what was the highest? I think it was like 15 they were saying, or
up to 16 feet.
Yeah, and unfortunately it could potentially get even higher, depending on how much more wind pulls, how much more the wind can pull into the ocean, pretty much, as this Eyewall replacement cycle goes underway and nears its end. So honestly, it's a very poor situation. It's also unfortunate that we've ended up losing a lot of potential data from cameras that were put in place that it was forecasted for the surge to not be as high, but ended up being at even higher. So overall, for Grand Isle and all the areas by the shore in that region. Right now, it's pretty much you're going to expect to be facing conditions that would leave anywhere in the vicinity practically uninhabitable.
Yep. It's very
And expect
unfortunate.
damages very similar to what we saw with Laura last year, because they're both Laura and Ida right now are at the same wind speed, and we saw damage that Laura did, and then factor that into what we could be seeing here, and it's not really a good outlook whatsoever. So I know we've been hammering it in. Just because it's not a Category 5 does not mean you need to stop taking it seriously. 150 mile-an-hour winds could still easily do a ton of damage.
Yeah, and also...
And it is doing damage right now. Isaac, latest power outage is now reaching 77,000
Oh my goodness.
in and around the area. Most notably, Jefferson Parish, now over 31,500 without power. So this would be your La Rose, Cutoff, Lafitte, Jean Lafitte, Golden Meadow, and Galiliano areas. This is all northwest of where we're seeing the impacts of Ida at this time.
And I'd just also like to say, just for reference, comparatively, this would be tied. They're tied in for the strongest landfall in Louisiana state history. So by winds, this would be tied for the strongest landfall in the state's history. So honestly, this is not a joke for anyone in the area. This is pretty much only comparable to two other storms, one that nobody is alive for anymore, and one that just happened recently in an area that was fortunately less populated, but just as devastated. So honestly, this is not a joke, and hopefully people that were in the way of this thing did do everything that they can, even if it meant they just had to take it, they had to go to a shelter last minute, because honestly, once this rolls in, there's really nothing to do except wait for it to pass.
Absolutely. We have tons more questions. The first one being, what are impacts going to be for Huma, Baton Rouge, and Gulfport? And are Lake Charles and Shreveport in the clear? So, all good questions. I'm going to start with the simplest ones. Are Lake Charles and Shreveport in the clear? Lake Charles and Shreveport will not be receiving strong winds from this storm. Heavy rainfall is still a possibility, but storm surge and strong winds are not. All right, I have very bad news. We are now getting from Grand Isle sustained winds of 140 miles per hour.
Oh no.
That's bad.
And they're not even in the eye wall yet, the inner eye wall on radar. This is a definite sign to me that this storm is, oh my goodness, this storm is extremely strong. Yes, Isaac?
I'd like to show a video from Grand Isle, from a viewer, from James Spann, from Christy Angelette, sent this video in not too long ago, Grand Isle.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
Look at that. Look at those winds.
Oh my goodness. That's absolutely...
Easy.
Look at the wave.
That's easy.
Easy high-end Cat 3. Easy high-end Cat 3, I would say.
Absolutely devastating damage there. Catastrophic damage.
That's going right through that.
On earth?
That's going right through the house.
And you can see at near the end of the video, you can see some debris floating around. Looks like maybe perhaps.
And watch these gusts. Look at those gusts. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, let me play that again.
Look at the wave just slams.
Can I have the link to that?
They are nuclear gusts.
It's in the chat.
That looks. Whoa.
This is why you should have evacuated if you're still there.
And for the viewers that are seeing this live with our team, what you're seeing is the fury of a 150 mile an hour Category 4 hurricane bearing down on Grand Isle, which is where this video is out of. This is why we've been stressing. This is why we've been stressing. You should have evacuated days ago. If you haven't evacuated, your time is up. If you're out and around in this, you need to get a shelter. Your time has ran out. You need to be in shelter at this point. And if you're not, I know, Thomas, you've said this and you can agree with this statement, you are putting your own life at risk by venturing out in this.
Yep. Absolutely
Easily.
devastating conditions going on right now. All right, we've got a ton more questions to go through here. First of all, I haven't even finished the first one here. Impacts for Huma. Strong winds, major hurricane force winds, a possibility. Rainfall over 10 inches, a possibility, and some significant storm surge. Baton Rouge. The expectations for Baton Rouge are going to be significant. We're going to be looking at what could be a direct pass of a Category 1 or 2 hurricane with significant rainfall over 10 inches. And for New Orleans, you're looking at storm surge of up to 8 feet. You're looking at winds of up to 105 to 110 miles per hour and rainfall over 20 inches.
Quickly wanted to mention that there's been a report from the Louisiana Police Chief Scooter Resbuer, I apologize if I mispronounced that, from Grand Isle, saying that he clocked in at 148 mile an hour, I'm assuming gusts, before his wind gauge broke.
We now have a dropsonde with a 930 millibar pressure reading. So the storm is deepening again. This storm is beginning to strengthen again as it does begin to make landfall. This is not good news. The storm has began deepening.
No, it's not. And AF303 has gone through the Southeastern quadrant, 127 flight level being found there with an SFMR of 114. That 114 has been flagged. The next good SFMR after that is with the 127 flight level with the 106 SFMR. This is out of the Southeastern quadrant of the storm, and this plane hasn't even hit the Northeast yet.
No,
I'd like to add Port Fourchon is again continuously going down. Okay, so the pressure has went down again to 953.8 millibars or 28.17 inches of mercury.
And that's for Port Fourchon?
Yes.
Next question here. Are tornado warnings in effect for New Orleans? No. Alright, what were you saying? I'm sorry?
Yeah, 953 millibars now being reported from an observation in Port Fourchon at this time. And to put it in context, Port Fourchon is less than 10 miles from the eye of Ida at this time.
All right, we just got
is dropping at a rate of 2 millibar per minute.
We just got absolutely incredible video courtesy of the National Hurricane Center of their flight in Ida. This is the eye. Currently being shown on stream is the look of the eye within Ida. That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, definitely you can see that clear stadium effect on that footage there from the Hurricane Hunters. Just an incredible looking storm, and you can see them panning up and down. This is a beast. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Absolutely.
This is exactly why the Hurricane Hunters are life-saving valuable flights into these really horrific storms, and we applaud them for going into there and risking their own lives to save many more.
My goodness, it's very, very dangerous situation currently unfolding.
Did we mention that the Hurricane Hunter plane that was investigating Ida is now found to be at 930 millibar?
Yep, 930 millibars according to Dropson. Not good news. Not good news at all. And you know, this situation continuing to deteriorate for Port Fourchon, for Grand Isle, for Layville, for Golden Meadow. You know, the eye is about to move ashore. We're just about to watch that begin to happen.
And as we're doing that, Thomas, power outage is now over 80,000.
Oh my.
No.
My goodness. All right, we do have another question. Is it possible for Ida to do more damage than Laura, given they're basically the same strength? Yes. This needs to be treated as if it is a Laura or greater than Laura level situation. All right, let's see if we have any more questions here. taking a look at questions. It doesn't look like we have any more at the moment. We do have actually one question. It's the final question for now, though. If you have any more, please feel free to ask us. What's the hurricane symbol mean over Grand Isle? On my radar program, that just means that is a report of hurricane conditions, winds over 100 miles per hour. So that's what we're looking at. All right. Someone asking, has the storm made landfall yet? It has not made landfall yet. The storm will be making landfall within the next hour or so. We'll see. Someone asking if the Eyewall does have Category 3 or 4 winds in it, how wide will the major hurricane wind swath be? It's going to be fairly wide. The New Orleans Weather Service actually has this pretty well set. You can
waves are now reaching the top of that camera in Grand Isle. They're hitting at the camera now.
Oh my. Alright, here's the major hurricane wind swath for you to look at. It's the purple here. Alright, what do we got?
I just want to mention, on that webcam that Isaac was just talking about for Grand Isle, there's been reports of seeing a roof float by just in front of the webcam, indicating devastating damage is currently ongoing in Grand Isle.
Sorry to interrupt you a little bit there, but it looks like speaking of roofs, I think we just saw some roof tiles fly off there too, from the looks of it.
Do we have the camera up? We do have a camera up. Where's this from?
Oh, are you looking at my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, this is from New Orleans, but the one we're talking about is from Grand Isle, and we unfortunately cannot show it due to copyright reasons, but we can describe it to you to the best of our detail. There's really, really strong streaming winds, and really, really high storm surge. If I had to guess, easily probably 6 feet or so tall. And some of the waves are even hitting the camera like just now, and we're also seeing parts of buildings being torn apart here. Roofs, apparently, as you just heard, and roof tiles, and that's only gonna probably continue to go downhill here, as they haven't even gotten into the worst of the eye wall. They're just about to get into the outer edge of the inner eye wall. Before that, they're in the inner part of the outer eye wall, if that makes sense. So they're about to get rocked by the strongest winds Ida has to offer here in short order. Again, that's probably the best description I could give you on what's going on in that camera. But for now, the only camera that we can pull up right now is from this one from New Orleans here. And even far away from the hurricane, you're still seeing those gusty winds there and heavy rains buffeting that camera there a little bit.
My goodness, yeah. The situation continues to deteriorate. I'm going to answer just one question here. Someone is asking, some of my cousins live in Morgan City. Should I be concerned for them? And what can they expect so I can warn them? If people in Morgan City, they're going to be getting heavy rainfall. They're going to be getting the impacts of this hurricane. They're not going to get the maximum winds. They're not going to get the worst of it. But they are going to get a pretty serious chunk of this hurricane. Tropical storm to hurricane force wind should still be the expectation. They should be preparing as if a hurricane force event is on the way, and they should also be preparing as if they're going to be receiving over 10 inches of rain. Those are the main preparations that I can suggest. They are also within, right on the border between the 5 to 8 and 8 to 12 feet of storm surge contour. So if you're in Morgan City, the expectation for you should be that you're going to be receiving about 8 feet of storm surge. So 8 feet of storm surge or so, over 10 inches of rain and hurricane force conditions are all possible.
Tropical storm force winds are slowly creeping up towards solid land right now. So in Galliano, South Le Forget Airport, if I'm not wrong, that's how you pronounce it. They are already experiencing tropical storm force winds with storm force gusts, which is 56 knots of gusts, has been experienced in this area. Pressure is going to continuously drop as the storm passes.
Someone asking...
Couple points coming in.
Go on.
Go for it, Thomas.
I was just going to say, we do have some more questions from viewers. The first one, do you think the brand new NOAA levees will hold up? I think so. They're not getting a direct hit. They better hold up.
Thomas, hearing reports right now, houses in the Grand Isle area that are on fire, electrical fires, burning down.
Whoa.
My goodness. Oh my goodness. Here's some footage that we've just pulled up.
Surge cam, although can't show it on stream because of copyright. The water of the surge is now basically near enough over the camera. It's just splashing over the camera now. And that camera, I think, is about 10 or maybe 15 feet in the air.
Wow. Absolutely nuts. That's not what we were wanting to hear, unfortunately. I can also say that we are just now starting to see the eye move ashore. The eye is just now moving ashore on to Port Fourchon. So those in Port Fourchon, we are now going to go over what happens when the eye passes over. Would someone like to go over what to do when the eye does pass over?
Well, you would want to obviously stay where you are. It's a fairly slow-moving system in a way, yes, but I wouldn't recommend it. At best, I would only recommend to do maybe a quick survey around your area. If you feel that the area that you're in is extremely unsafe and won't survive the second half of the eyewall, then I would maybe consider moving locations. But if not, I would stay put and stay where you are, because when that second half comes through, it's not going to give you any type of, like 10-minute heads up or anything. It's going to be from maybe 40-mile-an-hour winds to 140-mile-an-hour winds in probably about a minute or so. So I would really caution on being out and about during the eye of this hurricane, if those of you guys are still able to listen to us from down there.
Yeah. Now the eye distance is about 15 miles, so Port Fourchon's going to have about an hour of calm. You may hear some birds chirping. It's going to be really calm. Might be a light breeze. You probably will see sunny skies as you will be getting in the eye very shortly. But as Isaac noted, you can probably take a couple minutes, survey the damage right quick, see if there's anything else you can tie down. You're going to have about an hour of calm, and then this back side of this eye, which is, from what I've seen just on velocity estimates, is the worst side of Ida that's going to blow through, and that's got the stronger winds. The front edge off of velocity would suggest maybe 80, 90 mile an hour winds on the northwestern side. The backside does have the worst, and by the worst, looking at velocity off a radar scope, I've seen at about 8,600 feet in the air off the radar beam, a few pixels of 157 and 158 miles an hour. Now, I'm not saying that this is approaching Category 5 at all, but flight level is right around 9,000 feet, so it's going to be really, really interesting to see what AF303 finds on that eastern side when it does go through that area.
And also, latest observation from Port Fourchon is down to 946 millibars, or 27.94 inches of mercury.
Oh my. I would like to note the eye is now 7 miles offshore, 7 nautical miles offshore.
And I know viewers have been asking for a power outage update. Just updated on my end as of 3 minutes ago, 87,000 now without power.
Wow, so we are rapidly approaching the 100,000 mark. We have also gotten a press release from the Flood Protection Authority. This is there for New Orleans. The Southeast Louisiana Flood Protection Authority has closed all gates, including the Lake Burgon surge barrier, as of last night. The permanent canal closure and pump stations are all operating and pumping. The entire hurricane and storm surge risk reduction system is currently closed as we await the landfall of Hurricane Ida. The FPA is confident that the system will perform as designed. The FPA will continue to provide updates as Hurricane Ida moves through. All storm preparation updates will be posted to their website at floodauthority.org under the Tropical Weather Updates tab. That is a brand new press release, hot off the press. All right.
And I'm still seeing tons of eyewall lightning in the southern quadrant of this storm. fact, there's even one flash in the eye itself, strangely enough.
Yeah, that is what's a bit concerning, as radar scope velocity just picked up 1 pixel at about 8,600 feet of 160 miles an hour. So I am really looking forward to seeing what Recon finds on this eastern edge of the eye when it actually gets there. Right now, Recon has gone to the southeastern quarter of the storm. I'm hoping they make a quick southwest to northwest pass to get this eastern side of the eye wall before Ida comes ashore.
That is indeed the hope and dream. We have numerous other questions here. First of all, will Morgan City get the eye wall? Currently, there is a possibility of that. It's a very real possibility. They're just outside the cone, so very possible that they do get the eye wall. You should be preparing as if you're going to get the eye wall of a Category 2 or 3 hurricane. All right, our next question. Let's see. Got to sift through a lot of things here. How do you make... Oh, go on.
I was just quickly mentioning I saw another roof shingle fly and narrowly missed the camera.
Oh, wow. First, this is a question. How do we call landfall at force 13? When the eye makes it halfway up a landmass, that's when we call landfall. So landfall is quickly approaching. We will call it here within the next half hour to hour or so. We will be calling landfall, I'm sure.
All right, some news, Thomas. Port Fourchon has now entered the northwestern corner of the eye. Conditions should be starting to calm down in that area.
Yep.
Expected, we're seeing some massive drop in pressure. And I'll report as soon as we have any new data.
All right, that would be fantastic. Can Hurricane Ida cause damage as it weakens? Yes.
Definitely.
It will be causing damage as it weakens. Do not think as soon as it makes landfall, everyone past the landfall area is safe. In terms of winds, this is going to remain a powerful hurricane over the next 12 hours after landfall. Maybe even 18 hours, it'll remain a hurricane. It's going to be a very dangerous situation, and even after it weakens to a tropical depression, you're still going to have very high amounts of rainfall over 10 inches in some spots way far north. I mean, we're still looking at a very dangerous situation as the storm weakens. All right, here we are. Next question, what are storm surge values for, I believe that's Plaquemines Parish. I'll have to first of all look at where exactly that is. Plaquemines Parish. Currently, we aren't exactly sure. I know that Grand Isle is getting over, what is it now, 6 feet of storm surge? Do we have any reports of storm surge along the mouth of the Mississippi?
All I've heard so far is that the surge is reversing the river itself and making the river flow backwards and not the usual way around, and that's really all I've heard.
Okay, but there have been no numbers?
I would probably say and I'm just going to say this is an estimate, Thomas, probably about 3.5 to 4 feet of storm surge, because I'm looking at river gauges now down and around the Mississippi area at about 11 a.m. Saturday morning. We were looking at about 1.5 to 2 feet for the water level at the Mississippi River at the head of passes, which is right near the mouth. And the latest observation now has it at a little over 5 feet.
Yeah. My goodness. All right. So, someone asking, how strong is the secondary eye wall within this storm? Looking at current data here, assuming that we have winds of about 150 miles per hour. I'm taking a look at reconnaissance data, and I can say pretty confidently that we have at least 110 mile an hour winds now in that secondary eye wall, given the current reconnaissance pass. So, dangerous situation, both eye walls likely producing major or close to major hurricane force winds. All right, and we are now getting news from someone, or from one of our cyclone analysts, that we have received reports of 10-foot storm surge out of this storm at a certain river gauge. Tim, were there any river gauges that showed that high of a level of surge before they stopped transmitting?
I'm searching them right now. I'm seeing one at Barteria Bay Waterway at Comandia Pass. It's now showing almost 7.8 feet of surge. Grand Isle, let me take a look. Grand Isle showing a little over 4. Our Port Fourchon's at about 3. Breton Sound Basin now at almost 17 feet. I'm actually going to pull this up too so we can show this.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, let me pull this up so we can get it on the screen here.
Yep.
All right, there we go. Got it up. This is where the extreme wind warning, and you can see the surge markers over the last 24 hours. And yeah, it's shown 16.56 feet off of the last observation.
Wow. That's concerning.
I'd like to mention that the SWB office in New Orleans stated that a number of their sewage pump stations on both east and west banks of New Orleans are experiencing power outages. This increases the potential for sewer backups in homes. We urge those residents who still have power to minimize wastewater leaving their homes by not running. Let's see what this finishes. Basically, by not running any more of their water, trying to minimize our usage, because if not, pretty much the system's just going to be put on override.
Speaking of power outages, we're now over 90,000.
Okay, that's bad news.
By the way, is that number customers or actual household residents?
That would probably be, that's based on customers. Just to break it down, St. Tammany Parish now at 8,200 customers without power. Orleans Parish, 28,400. Jefferson Parish, 29,600. St. John the Baptist Parish, 3,400. St. Charles Parish, 1,400. LaForge Parish, shade under 5,700. Terrebonne Parish, 2,500. We're now getting outages in St. Mary Parish, about 740. Iberville Parish at 416, and Plaquemines Parish just now getting up to 7,700. So we are now almost at a little over 91,200 customers without power. This information as of 3 minutes ago.
Wow. Yeah, and again, customers are not people, because customers are each household. Each household counts as one customer. So that is over 90,000 households, likely hundreds of thousands of people without power. Not good
And that's
news.
not counting businesses that are being impacted as well.
Correct. So we're looking at an absolutely devastating situation unfolding at the moment.
I'm going to keep an eye on that one river gauge there at Breton Sound and see if we get any new readings off of it as we go through the next couple hours.
Yeah, Isaac, we're looking at the camera out of New Orleans right now. What's been going on with that as of late, and what changes are we seeing? I know that we've seen a little bit of debris once or twice, but overall, looks like things have been pretty calm and then spiking back up again and then calming back down.
think you've summarized it pretty good there. I've just really noticed the rain's increased a little bit. Obviously, the winds have increased. I've also noticed not as many people seem to be out and about on traffic as about an hour ago, which is obviously great news to hear because you don't want to be out and about in this whatsoever. But yeah, that's really about it, and they're probably going to increase from here on out the winds and the rain here as it gets closer towards the Louisiana area. A direct landfall over over New Orleans seems unlikely at this point, but I would never say impossible with systems like this, though. Just really unlikely, I would say, in my opinion. Still, though, they're going to be getting really strong hurricane force winds, probably in the range of Category 2 or Category 3, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it's going to be Category 2, sustained, possibly. My goodness. This storm is just absolutely nuts. We are now at the point where Fort Fourchon is in the eye wall, right along the coast. These coastal areas are in the eye. So when you're in the eye, the most important thing, do not go outside, do not venture out in the hurricane. You need to stay inside because conditions will deteriorate just as quickly as they lightened up.
Quick update on Recon, Thomas. 303 has completed their southeastern move. They are moving north right by the mouth of the Mississippi River. So hopefully they're going to go across the Mississippi River, across the Breccian Sound, and make a northeast to southwest pass, hopefully before this makes a complete landfall.
Yeah, that would be good, and we're going to find out what exactly it is that they're going to find in there. We'll see. The storm is currently deepening. It's not fantastic news, to say the very least. We have more questions. Do we know what storm surge is looking like in Lake Borgne? Borgne. I think it's pronounced Borgne. Do we have any storm surge from that?
Let me see where that's at, and I can get that information to you.
All right. Because we're looking for reports there. Let's see what else we're looking at. Nothing else for now in terms of questions, so I do just want to go over what exactly is going on. Hurricane Ida is rapidly approaching landfall. Port Fourchon is within the eye of the storm now. The storm is currently slowly strengthening upon landfall with winds of 150 miles per hour and a pressure now down to 930 millibars. That was conducted by our cyclone analysts, that this is back down to 930 millibars. It's an extremely dangerous situation. Grand Isle is getting over 16 feet waves, and Golden Meadow, Leeville, other areas also getting devastating impacts. Port Fourchon about to get absolutely devastated, if not already, by this storm, with wave heights well over 17, 18 feet expected to take place.
Okay, I got some pretty interesting data. So Port Fourchon's weather station has seen an increase in solar radiation. So that means that the system is pretty much going to be over the area soon, and that's when they'll start to see the eye of the storm. As of right now, the lowest pressure that it has recorded so far is 940.3 millibars, or 27.77 inches of mercury.
Wow. There we go. Again, the storm rapidly approaching landfall. This is an extremely dangerous situation and one that needs to be taken very, very seriously. Nathan, I know that you were talking about it earlier. Oh, he's not here. Earlier we were talking about electrical fires. Oh, go on.
I do have a quick update on the Lake Bjorn river gauge there. Currently reporting 6 feet of storm surge off the southern side of Lake Bjorn at this time.
All right, 6 feet of surge there. And do we have any reports on the Mississippi River, the mouth of the Mississippi?
Taking a look at that now. Seeing some of them about 4 to 5 feet of storm surge, specifically Mississippi River at Port Eads, just a little under 5 feet. Mississippi River at Head of Passes, also 5 feet. Let's see here. Tide Station at Pilot Town near Venice is at 5 feet. Mississippi River at West Bay, 5.7 feet. Mississippi River at the West Bay receiving area outflow, about 4.7. Mississippi River at Venice at 6.4 feet. So we're looking like 5 to 6 feet of storm surge through the mouth of the Mississippi River. But a lot of it is hitting well north of that Breton Sound Basin. Is probably the biggest telling sign of that storm surge, showing almost 17 feet right now.
All right. My goodness. All right. We have some breaking news here. Our own chief cyclone analyst, Devin Williams, appears to have just upgraded the CDPS scale to stage 8 for Ida. Due to the Eyewall replacement cycle and the unexpectedly large storm surge as well as wind field expansion, this storm is now a stage 8 on the CDPS scale. Absolutely catastrophic damage is anticipated. For context, Devin himself said that a stage 8 on the CDPS scale is equivalent to damage caused by Hurricane Katrina. This will not be the case for New Orleans. They will not receive the same kinds of damage. But places like Grand Isle in particular are going to be receiving absolutely catastrophic damage. This is an extremely dangerous situation.
Speaking of Grand Isle, Thomas, Grand Isle now in the northern edge of the eyewall at this time. Velocities indicating 83 miles an hour at 8,600 feet. Could be seeing 90 to 100 mile an hour velocities. Granted, this is at 8,600 feet. If they're mixing down into the lower levels, we could be seeing Category 2 conditions impacting Grand Isle in a matter of a few minutes.
All right. We do have a question here. What is the storm surge on Lake Pontchartrain? Does anyone have that data?
Give me a couple minutes. I'll get that right quick. Lake Pontchartrain, out in the middle of it's about 3.5 feet. On the eastern edge near Rigolets, Louisiana, it's 4 feet. Northern edge near Lacombe, not seeing much there at the moment. At the Lakefront Airport, it's about 2.5 to 3 feet there. West End, also about 3.5 feet. So roughly 3.5 to 4 feet of storm surge being felt on Lake Pontchartrain right now.
All right, here we go. Taking a look at radar, landfall appears to be imminent, basically. We're going to be seeing it occur within the next 5 to 10 minutes. This is not a good situation. Again, landfall in Louisiana about to take place. Grand Isle now on the Eyewall. Port Fourchon about to receive a direct landfall from this storm. So we'll be calling it here soon. This is an extremely dangerous situation.
We're going to get one final pass from AF303, Thomas. They are entering the eastern side of the storm, getting ready to hit the eye right before landfall. So we're going to get one last good reading from Recon before this makes landfall.
Yep.
Fourchon surface station, solar radiation continues to increase. That means the sun is coming out more often, and the pressure is down to 937.2 millibars, or 27.68 inches of mercury.
Wowee. Extremely dangerous situation. We're going to be seeing an update from the National Hurricane Center within the next 10 minutes or so in regards to this storm. This is a very, very dangerous situation currently unfolding. Very large amounts of surge. The flow of the Mississippi River has been reversed. We do have a question. Do we know the storm surge reports in Huma? Tim, do you have that information?
Let me take a look what I can find on Huma right quick. I will have that in a moment.
All right. Because of the flow of the storm right now, I don't expect there to be any surge at the moment. But there could be a little bit. So We'll see.
Looking, this is off of Lake Fields, which is just to the northeast of Huma. Looking right now, roughly 1 foot of storm surge off of Lake Fields, maybe 1.5 feet. This would be off the surge gauges off of Lake Fields, northeast of Huma, just southwest of the town of Lockport.
All right. We have a quick question asking how much time passes between each radar frame. At this time, it's not overly fast, but it's about a 5-minute duration between each frame right now. The radar has slowed down a little bit. They aren't in rapid scan anymore just because, first of all, conservation of power. Second of all, they want to keep the radar going. Extremely dangerous situation currently unfolding there. Landfall, again, imminent. We're going to be calling that here soon as the storm does continue to approach land. Hurricane Ida really is about to make landfall there in Port Fourchon. Grand Isle about to get stuff. Golden Meadow, Leeville, Milano, Lake Bear, all about to receive absolutely horrendous conditions, all currently receiving horrendous conditions at that, with the eye of the storm currently moving ashore. So to the team, this has been a wild ride, absolutely insane to watch the storm intensify. We're almost at the point of landfall. What are the things that people need to know about the storm right now?
Just very dangerous right now.
In the eye of the storm, it usually will have a clear sky above you. Don't think that is safe to walk out. It is totally not safe to walk out. I repeat, it is totally not safe to walk out of your shelter, because maybe around when the eye passes over your area, the other side of the eye wall is going to hit you really hard. That means we're talking about 130-40 miles per hour right now. So
I wanted to show another video that came in. This has about an hour ago, so this is an hour old from Grand Isle, Louisiana. Another video, but go ahead, Ryan.
Alex, I know you will. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Here,
let me just continue.
Yes.
You don't want to be out there with 130-40 miles per hour winds. So
right.
If you're in the eye, do not go out when the eye is passing over you.
Absolutely.
Do not go out.
Well, we're going to go to Alex and then Knack.
So I've been keeping an eye on the storm surge camera of Grand Isle for a while, and all I can say is if you're in an area that's prone to storm surge, please seek the high ground and in the sturdiest place you can be in your house if you are at home. The surge is nothing to mess with, and it's likely 2 meters or higher, so I would say it's unsurvivable. Like, take it serious. Just don't assume the surge isn't going to affect your area. If you're in a prone area, you're likely to get the surge.
Yep. And Ryan,
Sorry,
what
I
were
have
you
nothing
wanting to
to
say?
say.
Oh, it's all good.
I had nothing to say, yeah.
All right, and I know that we're all keeping a very close eye on things. Landfall of this storm is imminent. It is approaching in very short order. We can see it on radar there. Port Fourchon about to receive the brunt of it. And we do have some breaking news.
Yeah, we do have breaking news.
Breaking news, the National Hurricane Center has called landfall. Hurricane Ida makes landfall in Louisiana. We are going to be calling it as well, taking a look at radar observations, data of that nature as well. So Hurricane Ida has made landfall in Louisiana. Unfortunately, the storm has now just hit. Again,
I'm not convinced of that, I gotta say.
National Hurricane Center calling landfall. It's very, very close. Latest radar frame indicates that it is right there. It might be a little while longer before Force 13's official call, but it's very close. National Hurricane Center calling landfall right now with winds of 150 miles per hour, pressure of 930 millibars. So extremely dangerous situation.
I would personally say still 2 miles, but that's neither here nor there in this situation whatsoever.
Radar estimates show that it's pretty much on shore. If we look at radar, the estimate I have here is literally half a mile offshore. So on satellite, it might be a little farther, but...
No, I'm looking at radar, but hey, it's same difference.
At this point, regardless, landfall has been called by the National Hurricane Center. And
with that, Thomas, we did get that one last pass from AF303. Extrapolated pressure was down to 930.7 millibars. They did encounter a flight level wind of 129 knots with a peak SFMR of 118 knots just before they hit the eye and started moving southeast. So I think that is going to be the last pass that we're going to get from AF303. As you just noted, Hurricane Ida officially making landfall as of 12:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 11:55 Central Time.
Yep, and I'm sure Force 13 will be calling a landfall here relatively soon. But yes, I can confirm that our cyclone analysts are also calling landfall. So Force 13 will be calling landfall in short order. The time of landfall, that's the thing that we're going to be wondering. National Hurricane Center calling again at 11:55 Central. Force 13 might be calling a bit later than that. Regardless, the storm has made landfall now. The worst of the storm is currently moving ashore. Do we have any new reports in regards to storm surge or damage out of Grand Isle or any other areas within the storm?
Just see numerous reports of debris being lofted in the air and parts of roofs coming off.
There we go. And what camera are we looking at right now, Isaac?
Another one from New Orleans. You could actually see here, I think actually there's a Superdome right there. So this is taking a look at pretty much downtown New Orleans there to your middle right. And these are the current conditions right now as of right now.
Yeah, there they are. You can see there just the very dangerous conditions that are just beginning to unfold across the board with this thing. But there we go. Hurricane Ida, again, making landfall. Historic 150 mile per hour landfall. The storm, an extremely dangerous situation, still unfolding. The new National Hurricane Center. Stuff... Again, 150 miles an hour, 930 millibars. That's the current thinking. With Ida, again, I do want to go over the overall impacts of this. Over 20 inches of rain are possible near and around the landfall zone, including New Orleans. Winds of 150 miles per hour are currently ongoing and coming ashore in Louisiana near Grand Isle and Port Fourchon, and this storm will begin weakening relatively quickly as it moves north. Golden Meadow should still be expecting major hurricane force winds. Anyone within an extreme wind warning right now needs to be expecting major hurricane force winds. As the storm moves north, we're going to expect rainfall to fall off a bit and winds to really fall off. Regardless, still dangerous impacts possible. And again, Devin Williams, our chief cyclone analyst, has called that we have a stage 8 on the CDPS scale.
And something to note, Thomas, that AF303 data with that 930.7 extrapolated was just offshore of Port Fourchon.
Wow. So there we go.
Thomas, I believe
data shows when it comes in.
Thomas, I believe Force 13 has called landfall.
Force 13 has called landfall here.
So there seems to be reports that the surge cam at Grand Isle is currently floating.
Yes, that seems to be the case. Surge cam is floating.
And I'd like to add on that Port Fushon